My name is Matt Lees, and this is a special look at Enemy Within, the brand new DLC for XCOM, and it looks like it's a bit of a beefy one. The first one added more stuff, right? Added some more missions. This one adds more options, and in XCOM, more options means more mistakes. Let's kick things off with the new stuff straight away. We've got mechs, mechanized exoskeletal cybersuit chaps. Now these guys are basically kind of like heavy weapon platforms that are partially made of meat, and they bosh things to dead in quite a spectacular way. The heavier rigs that they have mean that they can carry larger weaponry, and also the fact that they have this melee attack, which is incredibly dangerous in close quarters. Effectively, anything parallel to you when you're punching stuff gets blown up, and when you punch stuff, they usually get knocked back into things, destroying them. So these mechs look incredibly dangerous in hand-to-hand combat especially, but I guess there is an element of risk involved with them, because if you do start going and punching things up, then you are going to blow up cars and you might end up killing some of your own rookies. But I like this because it adds an element of environmental strategy. If you want, you could go and punch an alien into a car, blowing up another car, causing more damage to the aliens. It's nice, it adds something new. And they can also carry new weapons. So for example, we've got the grenade launcher, which hasn't been shown yet, and the flamethrower, which has. The flamethrower is a very, very nice bit of gear, and the fact that it attacks in an arc. So you aim the arc, and then it will damage everything within that arc for 6 damage. And what's interesting about this is it seems to not be affected by cover, which makes sense, you know? You just flame stuff over it, and all that lovely napalmy goo will just go bloody everywhere. But the thing about building mechs is you'll need to build a cybernetics lab first. And this is a nice element just because it adds another element of choice. And as we've said, in choice, XCOM adds danger, adds problems. Any XCOM vets will know this, in the fact that if you want to build a specific kind of thing, if you want to go for mechs, then you're going to have to spend resources on the facilities, and, you know, making room for new facilities within your base building element of the game is often tricky and expensive, and if you really want to go for it, you're going to have to rush it, which means if you want mechs, then you're probably going to have to rush towards that and really take some risks elsewhere to make that happen. And the same thing is true with the genetics lab. Now, the genetic labs add gene mods which enhance operatives. You can basically augment chest, brain, eyes, skin, and legs. The only 2 augmentations confirmed so far are jumpy legs and cloaky skin. However, they might not use these terms in the full game. But basically, yeah, you can run around and jump on buildings, and you can use cloaking technique. Now, these 2 things are both things you can sort of do using armor in the original XCOM, but I guess what's nice about this is it's an element that's similar to armor abilities. But the thing was about armor was that armor was retrieved after death in original XCOM, which wasn't something that was true in Enemy Unknown on the old PC. You used to lose armor when people died, which kind of makes sense because it'd be frazzled. But in this, I'd be massively surprised if you can retrieve the skin augmentations of soldiers who've died. And another nice thing is that you can augment any type of soldier. So in this video we've seen so far, we've seen an augmented kind of assault dude, and we've also seen an augmented sniper. So you're going to give them different upgrades depending on what you want, but it's a nice idea because it means you can spec certain soldiers to perform certain roles more efficiently, which is nice. The only other thing that's worth mentioning at this stage is the fact that all the gene mods seem to be wearing the same armor. Now, either, there's 2 options here, either they can't equip standard armor, because this might give them too many options and make them kind of imbalanced within the game. For example, if you had a skin that could cloak but then gave him flying heavy armor, then that kind of might be too much. Or perhaps it's like psychic troopers who have psychic armor in the original XCOM that kind of enhance their powers. Maybe this armor suit enhances their genetic powers, although I'd argue it's more likely to be the first option, just because otherwise it might get a bit silly. And I'm assuming what ties together the new mech stuff and the gene mod stuff is this new resource. It's a valuable new alien resource, which is called Meld. And this has been kind of released throughout the levels, and it's going to give you new research, new upgrades. I'm assuming it's going to play a heavy part in some of this new technology as well. That would make a lot of sense. These Meld cores actually seem to be objects on the maps that you have to actually retrieve and keep safe. Now, that doesn't sound too difficult, but obviously when you've got mechs going around with their explodey punches and you've got grenade launchers, I'm assuming it's going to be quite easy to damage this stuff if you're not careful, and it's not clear at this stage how the aliens are going to react to to it. Are they going to try and retrieve it for themselves? Are they going to try and destroy it? We're going to have to wait and see how that works, but it looks like there might be a kind of capture the flag kind of domination style element to this, where you're going to have to split up your team to make sure you can go and secure all of these resources before you finish the level. And it wouldn't be a DLC pack if we didn't have some new guns and some new equipment. So we've got new projects in the engineering team at the Foundry, and the new stuff we've seen so far is obviously the special armor for the G-mods, not sure what that means. Also, we've got this amazing kind of railgun thing that we see the mechs using. There are also 2 new types of alien in this expansion, which is a bit of a disappointment, I've got to be honest, just because one of the reasons I did eventually get a bit tired of XCOM was because I got used to knowing how each type of alien would react to different situations, and learning that the sectoids are cowards, and learning that the tall men are always going to sneak around and hide behind cover. You get to learn how they work, and then the game becomes a lot easier. So if they'd really wanted to kind of entice me back in big time, a bunch of new aliens would have been cool. However, this alien is cool. The mechtoid is a sectoid in a mech suit, and I'm intrigued as to see how that affects things. Hopefully that will actually affect the way that other sectoids fight, and maybe something like that, just to mix it up a bit. And having said that, we don't know who the final, or what the final other type of alien they're adding is. More aliens would have been good, but I'm going to hold off on my opinion on this until we've seen what the other alien is. However, a big problem with the predictability of XCOM after quite a while, came down to the maps. There just weren't enough maps in the game, and you ended up repeating them quite often. So I'm really pleased to hear that one of the major things they've got right with this is they're adding 47 new maps to the game. And I'm really hoping that A, this means we don't have the same thing of, oh look, I'm fighting in this restaurant again, and B, hopefully actually have some cultural difference. It was a bit weird everywhere in the world having exactly the same kind of feel, and if not in here, then especially if they are working on a sequel, I'd really love to see it. So where you land in the world heavily affects the style of mission that you have and the style of the area. That sort of thing just adds a lovely bit of colour. Ooh. And obviously, finally, for those who really care about it, they are adding all this new stuff and some new maps into the multiplayer. So if you are a big fan of the multiplayer, it was a bit of fun, I quite liked it, then that's good too. So anyway, that is XCOM Enemy Within in a nutshell. Everything we know so far. We'll obviously be at Gamescom. We're going to try and ask them some more questions and get some details really nailed down. But so far, that's everything we know in quite a bit of detail. Overall, impressive. My only worry is that by giving us all of this fun new stuff to play with, like gene mods and cybernetics, they're not going to balance that out well enough in terms of giving you new challenges, because it's all very well having awesome fun stuff, but as somebody who completed the original XCOM, by the time you had dudes in flying suits with sniper rifles on Overwatch, and it kind of became a bit too easy. Still a lot of fun, but a bit too easy. So I'm looking forward to the options, but I would have liked more bad things too. More bad things, please. Anyway, that's it for now, and we'll see you next time. Thanks very much for watching. Bye!